Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I sat across polished glass in a quiet venue office while Suzanne flipped through sample menus and linen charts, her voice light, steady, certain. Sun spilled through tall windows, catching silver frames holding photos of smiling couples. The coordinator, Natalie Harper, explained final details about ceremony timing, lighting direction, entrance music, vendor arrival slots. I signed initials on highlighted lines, thinking 3 months felt unreal, thinking life felt lined up. Suzanne's phone vibrated across polished surface. Her fingers froze, color drained from her face, breathing changed. She stood fast, said, "Washroom," then stepped out without meeting my eyes. Natalie kept talking, asking preferences, offering suggestions. I answered without hearing. Minutes stretched. Silence felt heavier than any question. My phone lit up. "Can't do this. Sorry. I just can't marry you." Words sat there. I typed once. "Where are you?" No answer came. Natalie noticed my expression. "Everything okay?" I turned the screen toward her. She read it, lips parting. I heard her inhale. "Sir, do you want to take a moment?" I shook my head, slow, controlled. "Cancel everything," I said. She blinked. "Are you sure?" "Yes. Stop all bookings. Release the date. Call the vendors." Natalie hesitated. "Deposits?" "I know what I paid. Cancel it anyway." The phone rang as she began notifying suppliers. I leaned back, steady, shoulders squared, eyes forward. Suzanne did not return. No footsteps in the hall. No explanation through the door. Just absence. Just a final text. Decision made somewhere else. Life redirected without a conversation. Natalie ended her call. "I'm so sorry, Kyle." "So am I," said, calm voice matching the room. Then I stood, walked out alone, and left our wedding behind where it sat, on a desk covered in forms, numbers, plans, and a silence that felt permanent. I sat inside my car, engine off, phone in hand. No new message appeared. I tried again. One call, two, straight to voicemail. I sent one line, "Tell me you're safe." The screen showed red. Nothing followed. I drove home. Our apartment door opened to a familiar space, unchanged. Everything present except her. I checked the bedroom, the balcony, the kitchen. Silence answered each step. My phone stayed still. I called her brother. "Zach," I said, "where is Suzanne?" Long pause met my words. Breath on the line, strained. "Kyle, this is bad. Just tell me." "She went to see Larry." My jaw tightened. "Larry who?" "Larry Jensen. The one before you. He signed his divorce papers last week. She's been talking to him for months, off and on. I only found out today." "How long?" "From what I heard, half a year." The room felt smaller. "Where did she go?" "His place, near the old riverfront. She packed a bag earlier this morning." "I was with her all morning." "I know. I'm sorry, man. She didn't tell anyone the whole plan. Just left. She used my meeting for her exit." I think she needed a moment that felt final. A moment. At our venue, at our future table. I hung up without another word. I walked through each room once more, seeing her absence now instead of her things. I picked up her framed photo, turned it face down. I removed the ring box from the nightstand, placed it inside a drawer. My phone finally buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" Suzanne's voice cracked through the speaker. I didn't know how else to do it. "I'm not explaining anything," I said, keeping voice level. "You already decided." Silence followed, thin, shaking. I ended the call, blocked that number, then set the phone down. Calm stayed around me like armor. There would be no debate, no second chance, no late-night discussion. That meeting had been the conversation. Within an hour, messages from vendors filled her empty inbox instead of mine. Every contract carried only her name. She had wanted control of details, addresses, scheduling, confirmations. I had only wired payment. Now cancellation notices, penalty amounts, and remaining balances followed that paper trail straight to her. Venue, florist, photographer, caterer. Every email, every call, every invoice moved toward the person who signed. I changed access to everything connected to my life. Banking logins updated, streaming accounts locked. One click at a time, I erased overlap. No anger fueled those choices, only order, only clarity. I placed her clothes into bags, set them by the door, unopened, untouched. No ceremony attached to it. My phone stayed silent. No messages, no wedding reminders, no future plans. A blank screen felt peaceful. Somewhere across the city, Suzanne was hearing the same voices I had called hours earlier, only now those voices belonged to collections, penalties, and deadlines. She had walked away from one life and stepped straight into another, one shaped by paper, numbers, responsibility. And I let it happen. 2 days passed before I heard anything else. Not from her, others filled the silence for her. A mutual friend, Lena, sent a short message. She's staying at Larry's. It's messy over there. I didn't ask for details. They arrived anyway. Larry lived in a narrow apartment near the river. No space for the future Suzanne had imagined. She had walked in expecting comfort, maybe romance, maybe the feeling of being chosen after waiting for his divorce to finalize. Instead, she stepped into a place already crowded with bills, unpacked boxes, and Larry's own quiet problems. By the third night, they were arguing. "You said you were ready," she told him. "I said I was finished with the divorce," he replied. "That doesn't mean I'm ready for this." This? I left everything. That wasn't my decision. Their voices carried through halls, through the floorboards, through text messages that floated back to me from people who loved drama more than truth. She expected to move in fully. He told her he didn't want someone living with him yet. She tried to explain weddings, vendors, money, panic. He told her he had nothing to do with those choices. "Figure it out, Suzanne," he finally said. "This can't all land on me." She left the place that night, walked out with a bag and no plan. She tried a friend's couch, another friend's spare room. People helped at first. Pity works for a short time. Then space runs out. Voices get tired. Meanwhile, the venue emailed her final totals. The florist tried calling 3 times. The photographer sent an invoice marked urgent. One vendor forwarded a message to me by mistake. I read the first line. "Miss Brown, your cancellation balance is," and deleted it. Not mine. Never was. By the end of the week, Suzanne had moved twice. Larry had stopped taking her calls. Mutual friends told me she looked shaken, like someone who suddenly realized the road wasn't paved the way she imagined. Her choice had found its weight. The calls started again on a Monday morning. Unknown numbers. Each ring carried her voice without hearing it. I let the first 3 go to silence. The fourth, I answered. "Kyle, please." Suzanne's words rushed out, tangled. "They won't stop calling. They're saying legal action, collections, credit damage. I don't have anything to give them." "You signed the contracts," I replied. "You chose the exit. You handle the cost." I wasn't thinking straight. "You were thinking for months," I said, "waiting for Larry to be free." I was confused. I didn't mean to destroy everything. "Yet you left." That part was clear. A breath broke through the line. "Just help with part of it. Anything. I can pay you back when I get on my feet." "There is nothing to get back to," I said, then ended the call. That afternoon, her mother showed up at the apartment. A sharp knock, then another. "Kyle, open the door," Evelyn called from outside. I spoke through the door. "You need to leave. You can't just abandon responsibility. She was your fiancée." She ended that at the venue. The bills followed her decision. "She's under too much pressure. You could solve this with one payment." "And teach her nothing?" "You're being cold." "I'm being accurate." Evelyn's voice cracked. "She's living out of bags." "She chose the road. I didn't push her onto it." There was a pause, then softer words. "She made a mistake." "No," I corrected. "She made a plan. The plan failed." Footsteps moved away after that. No apology came. Later that week, an envelope arrived stamped with a law firm's address, a formal demand for shared responsibility, half the remaining balances. I read every line, then walked it to my lawyer, Patrick Green. He skimmed the pages, looked up, and smiled once. "This won't hold. She is the only contracting party. Her choice triggered the losses. You owe nothing." "What if they push harder?" "Let them try." The letters stopped soon after. But the silence didn't last. Messages from her aunt, distant cousins, old friends, each different, all leading back to one idea: save her. I didn't. Suzanne ran out of places willing to listen. The friends who once offered couches now avoided her messages. The polite sympathy turned into clipped responses, then silence. Reality does not accept apologies as payment. The collection notices followed her everywhere. A certified letter arrived at the apartment she no longer lived in, forwarding address scrawled in shaky handwriting. Court dates scheduled, balances confirmed, interest added. Within weeks, her score dropped past recovery levels. No landlord would return her calls. No bank would consider her name. She settled into a narrow rented room owned by a man who didn't ask questions, because questions meant care, and care meant cost. Larry had already moved on. New city, new position, new girlfriend. A simple public photo confirmed it. Someone sent it to Suzanne. She watched the screen in disbelief, humiliated by how easy it had been for him to replace her. The man she had chosen over everything had not even looked back. That was when the breakdown began. Zach called me one evening. His tone carried no anger, only exhaustion. "She lost her job today," he said. "How?" I asked. "She kept missing shifts. Couldn't focus. Couldn't answer customers without crying. They let her go. That was her last stable thing." "I know." He sighed. "She finally admitted the whole truth. She thought Larry would fix her life. She thought leaving you was the brave thing. And now she understands bravery doesn't come from running." Silence sat between us. "She keeps saying your name," he added. "Like if she says it enough, you'll come back into her world." "That world closed," I replied. Not with anger, with decision. "I figured you'd say that." And I meant it. There was no satisfaction in her fall. Just a rough, unavoidable gravity doing what it always does when someone steps off a solid path. Days passed. Weeks shifted. Her name faded from conversation. Her existence moved to the background of a life I no longer lived. The storm she created had fully turned inward, and I stood on clear ground, watching it disappear from view without stepping closer. My evenings became structured. Early runs, clean meals, focused work. Stability returned through routine, not distraction. The apartment changed slowly. New sheets, different art, rearranged furniture. Her memory lost its grip as space filled with purpose. I boxed the last traces and donated everything that carried her imprint. No ceremony, just closure. I sold the ring to a quiet dealer across town and invested that return. Not into romance, into progress. Responsibility stood tall again. Support came from a smaller circle. Real friends, solid conversations, strong boundaries. I spoke plainly. They respected that clarity. Whispers ended. Stories settled. Truth surfaced. Anyone who doubted simply stepped back. No drama followed them out. Then I started dating. Slowly, intentionally. No promises offered. No masks worn. One woman, Elaine Porter, impressed me with honesty and independence. She asked direct questions. I gave direct answers. Mutual respect formed first, then interest. We met for walks, shared meals, studied silence without fear. Trust developed, measured and solid. Work improved as well. Promotions followed effort. Projects advanced. Money stabilized. My life became defended and valued. I did not feel hatred. I did not seek revenge. I used discipline instead. Calm replaced chaos. Strength replaced loss. Every morning reflected choice. Every night confirmed progress. The man who left the venue in silence had evolved into someone who understood power meant protection, clarity, and self-respect. It happened almost a full year after the venue meeting. I had just finished a client appointment near the courthouse downtown when I saw her sitting on the stone steps, shoulders drawn in, hair pulled back without effort, a folder resting in her lap. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, something inside her had collapsed. She noticed me at the same time. Surprise crossed her face, then fear, then something closer to relief. "Kyle," she called. I stopped a few steps away. No anger rushed in. No rush at all. Just stillness. "You look different," she said. "So do you." She glanced at the building behind her. "I'm meeting with a legal aid attorney about the debts." A weak laugh escaped her. "Still can't believe how fast everything fell apart." "You chose a faster road," I replied. She nodded once, swallowing. I was wrong about a lot of things. I thought passion meant truth. I thought risk meant courage. I threw away certainty for excitement. Now I understand the difference. Silence stretched. "I'm sorry," she said, "for how I did it. For the text. for using that meeting as an exit. You deserved more than that." "I know," I answered simply. Her eyes searched my face. "Is there any chance we could start over? Even talk, just once, somewhere that isn't this?" "There is no over to start," I replied. "You already chose the ending. I accepted it and built something else from there." Tears formed but didn't fall. "You look stronger." "I am. And I look like someone who lost everything." "You lost what you abandoned," I corrected gently. "That's not the same as losing something taken from you." She gave a slow nod. "I hope you're happy." "I am." That seemed to be the only closure she could carry. She looked down at the folder again as I turned away. This time, it was me doing the walking. This time, it was final. Thank you for watching.